Regardless of whether Elon comes through and buys this thing or not, they're already nervous about their jobs over at MSNBC. They're very, very nervous because, you're looking at pay cuts, you're looking at lower ratings, and they know the handwriting is on the wall. In other words, they may not be guaranteed those big fat salaries for long. Joe and Mika admitted as much.
We could all be fired a year from now or whenever this happens. You never know what's going to happen.
I will say this. They're smarter than some of the other people over there on MSNBC. They're very shrewd. I give Joe that. The next day, right after the election, there he was on set talking about, wow, this is amazing. This was such a landslide by the Republican Party. I haven't seen anything like this since Reagan. And suddenly he was in his little suit and tie. And he talked about being a white, Southern, male, conservative. It's like, wow, the handwriting was on the wall. Joe got the message and he was back on cue. And it just tells you kind of how phony he is, right? Right? But it also tells you he's a politician and he gets it. He likely knew. Well, he had to know. I mean, we were reporting that as much here. I told you this company's going to get sold. And then NBC admitted it on October 31st. When they released their earnings, they said, you know what? We're looking at this potential spin-off company. And there are some people that are really, really unhappy about this. I mean, think about people like Reid that just doubled down on this hate during the campaign. And now it gets to live another day. She's actually continuing to spiral out of control.
People are rightfully alarmed. They have a reason to be alarmed.
Unbelievable.
People are rightfully alarmed. They have a reason to be alarmed. And if you would vote for that, people may not feel so confident that they're safe with you. This is not crazy. This is legitimate feelings of fear of you and a feeling that you might not be someone they could trust. If this thing goes way south, autocracies go south real fast and things get ugly and people get asked to do things and turn people in and point people out and turn on them. And if you're voting affirmatively, gleefully for this, and people may not feel so confident in you anymore. That's real, and you kind of have to live with it. So if you think that you can vote for what people see as their destruction and then demand that they still are cool with you and kiki with you and have Thanksgiving with you, I think you're kind of missing the point. Of what people are upset about. They're afraid. And autocracy and fascism are things that are legitimate to be afraid of. So you may want to step back.
Okay, so who's the fascist here? I would just ask, who is the fascist? Reid, I mean, it's frankly kind of gross, the way she behaves, the things that she says, and the division that she's continuing to stir up. It's reckless, it's dangerous, it's wrong. So she wants to shut out one side. She wants to disown an entire side. And she said she's absolutely right to do it. Okay, honey, you do you. You do your little thing. But did you see the maps? All the red and the little teeny little crystals. We're going to call them crystals because you guys think you're so important. The little snowflakes of blue all around the country. The train has left the station. Americans heard you. They heard you on TV every single day. And you know what? They were kind of nauseated by it. At some point, it went in one ear and out the other because they were sick of hearing it. Because you know what, guys? When people are getting killed, which is the reality of where we are right now because of defund the police and open borders and this, that, and the other. And when they're getting killed at the grocery store because, wow, everything has gone up in price. One MSNBC anchor said the smartest thing I've ever heard him say the other day. Brian Williams, who used to anchor the big flagship program, was on some show and he's like, do you know it's $40 for Bounty for a 12-pack of paper towels? It's $40. People are hurting. This is the reason no one wants y'all. You're so obsessed with the DEI and everybody's feelings and this and that and the other. And in the meantime, we got rampant inflation and we've got crime. And we've got kids that are afraid to speak. Joe Scarborough admitted this, smart man, the very next day on set, just days ahead of, hours ahead of hearing the news that MSNBC is going to be spun off. MSNBC, CNBC, Sci-Fi, Oprah's Oxygen, the Golf Channel USA, hey, you know what, Elon, I'm seeing a deal here for you. I'm seeing a deal. And hey, you can get some pay cuts along the way too. Rachel Maddow, it has been revealed, has just agreed to a pay cut. She only does one show a week, for goodness sakes. She's going to make 25 instead of 30 million. Oh, we're really feeling sorry for her. You know what? These are the people that don't have to worry about the $40 12-pack of paper towels. They're just living in a whole different world. And they are so divorced from the realities that really matter that I tell you, this is partly, if not entirely, why the Democrats completely failed with America. So the company's up for sale. Elon might buy it. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm telling you, I would not be surprised. I tend to be right on these things, so let's watch it. But Mika and Joe, they're very aware that this is going to be problematic, right, for them and for their jobs. One, because they make a lot of money, and two, because their ratings are lousy, and three, because whoever's coming in as the new owner doesn't want to deal. The new shareholders, the board, they are not going to want to have to deal with the headaches that Mika and Joe and Joy and the rest of them are bringing on. You got Brendan Carr from the FCC. He means business. He's like, I'm sick of this. He looked at the number 2 mandate for the FCC, which happened to be diversity, equity, inclusion. And he's like, enough, get rid of it. I don't care about that. Maybe we just need some truth in the media. Do we not, ladies and gentlemen? So here's Mika talking about her little expedition that she went on.
Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump. It was the first time we have seen him in 7 years.
That must have been hard, huh? Especially considering what Joey thought of the president.
And being so pragmatic and trying to be like, I'm okay, you're okay. Now, where can we meet in the middle? La, la, la. On this question, we're past that. You can't meet. If they voted for Trump in 16, whatever. They voted for Trump in 20, they knew exactly what they were doing. If they vote for Donald Trump in 2024, and I've said it on my show, I'll say it here, they're knowingly voting for a fascist. They're voting for a racist. They're voting for somebody that wants to put this country 200 years in the back. And so I'm not trying to figure them out. I'm trying to figure out how we get people out who love democracy, who love freedom, who love the rights of all Americans, how to get them to the voting booth. Because that's how we save our country.
Didn't work out so well for you, huh, Joe? No. So it was like days before the election. Amazing how he has such a change of heart to the point where he'd go into Mar-a-Lago, into the lion's den, after saying all the things he said, and after Donald Trump calling him one sick puppy. Remember that on Fox?
About Joe Scarborough, because on Bill Maher's show, he said, his people, meaning your people, have said they're going to arrest my producers.
Oh, nobody said that. Look, Joe's a sick puppy. I know him well. I used him beautifully. I dropped him because I thought he was very unethical, actually. But I dropped him. But I used him for 2016, and I do it from my apartment. I wouldn't even have to go in. I'd do phone calls, and I did them almost sometimes on a daily basis.
Why do you say that?
And then everyone's because I watch him and what he says about me. What he says is so bad. And you have to understand, no, I was friendly with him and with Mika, but at a certain point, and it doesn't matter why, but I didn't want to do it anymore with them. And they're not too happy about it. No, but he says a lot of things like that I think they're unethical, but who knows?
I want to drill down on this question.
Yeah. You just heard some of them, and he sent them on the air, and there were things like, I don't know, we played some of these on my shorts feed where he was swearing on the air at 6:15 in the morning, all about Donald Trump. The anger was just coming right through the screen. Did they think that worked? Is that what sells paper, so to speak, or turns the dial? I don't know. I don't think they were doing that well to begin with. I think they were getting crushed by their competitors, including Fox. I know Newsmax has been soaring, and they were getting crushed by, folks like me over here in this new media space where we can say what we want and we don't have to worry about this, that, and the other all the time. I'm surprised they weren't worried, though. I mean, the way they spoke, it was so bizarre, and it was conspiracy theory after conspiracy theory. It still is, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, just go back to Joy, right? And Joy's idea that somehow we need to divide. It gets worse. I got more to show you because she's got another clip that I am convinced is going to get her fired. Like before Elon comes in, before the spinoff happens, Joy Reid is angling. She is itching to get fired, given some of the crazy things she is saying. More on that in a second. But first, so Joe and Mika, they decide to go over to Mar-a-Lago. And, some people aren't taking it so well, but listen to their explanation.
Over the past week, Joe and I have heard from so many people, from political leaders to regular citizens, deeply dismayed by several of President-elect Trump's cabinet selections, and they are scared. Last Thursday, we expressed our own concerns on this broadcast and even said we would appreciate the opportunity to speak with the president-elect himself. On Friday, we were given the opportunity to do just that. Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump. It was the first time we have seen him in 7 years.
Now, we talked about a lot of issues, including abortion, mass deportation, threats of political retribution against political opponents, and media outlets. We talked about that a good bit. And it's going to come as no surprise to anybody who watches this show, has watched it over the past year or over the past decade, that we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of issues, and we told him so.
What we did agree on was to restart communications. My father often spoke with world leaders with whom he and the United States profoundly disagreed. That's a task shared by reporters and commentators alike. We had not spoken to President Trump since March of 2020, other than a personal call Joe made to Trump on the morning after the attempt on his life in Butler, Pennsylvania. In this meeting, President Trump was cheerful, he was upbeat, he seemed interested in finding common ground with Democrats on some of the most divisive issues. And for those asking why we would go speak to the president-elect during such fraught times, especially between us, I guess I would ask back, why wouldn't we? Yeah. 5 years of political warfare has deeply divided Washington and the country. We have been as clear as we know how in expressing our deep concerns about President Trump's actions and words in the coarsening of public debate. But for nearly 80 million Americans, election denialism, public trials, and January 6th were not as important as the issues that moved them to send Donald Trump back to the White House with their vote. Joe and I realize it's time to do something different. And that starts with not only talking about Donald Trump, but also talking with him.
It's like she's Secretary of State or something, right? I mean, she thinks she's negotiating with North Korea. Honestly, I would just say, look, fine. You should be talking with him. You should be talking with your friends and your enemies and everybody in between. There's nothing wrong with that. More information is better. Right? This is why when everybody freaked out about, oh my gosh, Tucker Carlson is going to talk to Vladimir Putin. And I said, of course he should. Everyone should want to hear from everyone, right? We don't just wall it off because, oh, they're the enemy. If anything, you'll want to know even more about what the enemy's thinking, for goodness sake. So I don't disagree with her on that. What I do disagree with is what they have done for the last 8 years, and certainly the last 3 years. It's been literally disgusting, but that's how they've brought all these people in. And so what do you know? They came out with this statement, and the ratings, being as weak as they already are, they tanked in real time. Normally in morning TV, you add as you go through the morning, but in this particular case, people heard that, and they literally changed the channel. People like, oh, this little lady, one Rosie O'Donnell.
Hold, please. So Mika and Joe went down to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring. It's the last time I ever watched Morning Joe. Period. End of statement. Unreal. Unreal. For months you were telling us he's the worst thing that could happen to this country and democracy. And then you go kiss his ring? Despicable.
Despicable.
Despicable you. Both of you.
Oh, she's got some good drama going on there too, doesn't she? Despicable. It makes me think of Despicable Me, because I have kids and they love that series. Anyway, she wasn't the only one. Sunny Hostin over on The View, which is going to get canceled too. We get more on that coming up. She's torching them as well.
Look, the bottom line is that America needs a free press that is willing to speak truth to power right now, more than ever. And I think that we have to be very clear-eyed when we think about the president-elect and cover the president-elect. And I don't think you need to sit down for 90 minutes at Mar-a-Lago and kiss his ring to be able to speak truth and to be able to cover a story. So maybe they're not journalists in the true sense. Maybe they're saying that they're opinion journalists. But we have to remember that Trump is the guy who ushered in the era of fake news. He is the guy who ushered in alternative facts. He is the guy who attacked 3 black female journalists. He's the guy that revoked Jim Acosta's press credentials for asking him a question. And so I think that this president-elect, I hate to say it, would like nothing more than to have only Fox News cover him, would like nothing more than a state-sponsored media. And I don't think he can be trusted in the way that other presidents can be trusted. This is an
I'm amazed at how they get up on their high horse. So now she's trying to put herself in a different position than the MSNBC folks. Let's be very clear. They are all opinion makers. They are all commentators. And when you think about what they sat there and told us for however many years, that wasn't journalism. That wasn't even, frankly, commentating. I mean, that was extremism. And Sunny is a part of that extremism as well. And so for her to sit there and be like, oh, they're not journalists. I am. Sorry. You're definitely not, for goodness sakes. Own what you are. I own what I am. I am an opinion maker. I am a journalist. By the way, I've had way more training in actual journalism than any of those people on The View. And I know how journalism works from the inside and out. And I know how networks work. And I know the built-in bias that is there. And it's one of the most terrific things, frankly, about being over here. It's what I love. It's one of the reasons I created, by the way, 76 Research. I think Rob's going to come on the show in a little bit, a little later in the program, to talk some more about the Twitter deal that's just amazing. But we do have an Invest in MAGA guide that we just put out. It's totally free. Go to 76research.com, invest in MAGA, because there's going to be a lot of opportunity. I want you guys to be part of that. I've been saying that all along. I mean, look, I always believe in the American economy and the opportunity it represents, but I was getting worried. At the idea of Kamala. I mean, the laugh alone, right? But no, all kidding aside, I think that we would have been in a very precarious spot for the next 4 years in more ways than one. So I'm really happy to see this. But you've got all these people that consider themselves journalists that are out there spouting a bunch of lies. And if it weren't actually for Elon Musk having come in and bought Twitter, I don't think we would have had enough of that truth getting out. So it's important what he did. And I'll tell you, if he could go ahead and buy the Spinco, like he says, Donald Trump Jr. saying, hey, I got a funny idea, Elon Musk, and he wants to know how much it is. If he could go ahead and buy this thing, that would be pretty darn incredible. That would be amazing. Tucker Carlson might be back on MSNBC. Didn't he used to have a show there at some point? I mean, incredible. But, a lot of people would be fired right out of the gate. One in particular I can think about, Joy Reid. Joy Reid would definitely be fired. I mean, I think there are others that are shrewd, like Mika and Joe, that, already are on thin ice right now, But it's like they know it, they sense it, they feel it, they smell it. And that's why Joe Scarborough, the very next day, right after we did get a landslide in the election, he came in with a smile on his face, suit and tie on, trying to channel like Tucker 2.0 with the little tie and the, I mean, my gosh, here he is saying it was a massive red wave.
Well, I mean, so much to go through, so many questions. I came onto the set and Willie said, hey, by the way, because we were talking about the historic nature of this sweep.
Yeah.
And Willie said, do you know, he only lost Illinois by 4 points.
4 points in
New Jersey by 5. I mean, you talk about we had talked about a red wave 2 years ago that never materialized. This is I've got to say, this is the biggest red wave I've seen since Ronald Reagan's 49 state victory in 1984.
Smart.
It seems every
you look at New Jersey, you look at New York, you look at California. I mean, he's in striking distance of winning the whole freaking thing come 2028. And so a lot of people are freaking out, certainly within the Democrat Party, but some people just don't really get it, right? So I think Joe and Mika, they're opportunists, let's face it, who want to make sure that they stay close to power, right? That show is all about being a power broker, and those in the know watch it, et cetera, et cetera. So how do they stay relevant for the next 4 years? They're trying to cozy up to one, whoever might now be in charge. I mean, they have some of the same management staying on, but you're going to have a different power structure given the different ownership structure. And two, they want to actually feel as though they matter. And then you got somebody who ought to be fired today, who clearly is reckless. I mean, they're reckless too, but they're trying to be buttoned up now that they realize Trump won the thing. This woman, she just doesn't care.
Hey, I just want to give some free advice to the white progressives, particularly white progressive women who may be thinking about marching against the Trump victory, maybe putting back on the P-word hats and doing that thing. I would just say probably don't send any of those invites to any black women you know. I'm just going to tell you right now, they're not coming. I'm pretty sure black women have resigned from the Save America Coalition, Save Democracy Coalition, and definitely the Save the Democratic Party Coalition. I think that's probably not happening. I would just keep those invites maybe among your own friends because I don't think they're coming. But yeah, I think black women are now on the Save Black Women, Prioritize Black Men, and prioritize black communities, black businesses, and that. And, you know, the black spaces, but Save America, Save the Democratic Party. Yeah, I don't think that's happening.
Okay. So first she's telling you, don't have Thanksgiving dinner with anybody who voted for Trump. And now she's saying, black women, stay away from white women. White women, don't even invite us to your anti-Trump parties because you didn't do enough. You didn't actually get her elected, her being Kamala Harris. I mean, these people are really wacky. So if I'm coming in as management, what is the first thing I do? I get rid of Joy because I don't need the headache. I don't need the drama. She doesn't have very good ratings, and it's clearly a problem. I got Rachel to take the $5 million pay cut. Whoop-de-doo, right? Apparently she's like ratings gold for them. I think she has a show like once a week on Monday night, and that kind of sets the tone for the rest of the week, and they can kind of ride that one all the way to the bank. But I just have a feeling if Elon gets in there, it's a whole new game. Wouldn't that be amazing? I mean, I think it's fun to think about, and I think he could do it. I really do. I said he was going to buy Twitter. I said he was going to pay the full, $42 billion for Twitter. I said he wasn't going to get out of that deal. I said they were going to spin this thing off. I said Trump was going to win. And I'm telling you, there is huge opportunity. I said, take a look at something like Bitcoin. We wrote about it on the 76 report. Not with all your money, for goodness sakes, but just, if you have any spare dollars around, you could go into one of the funds because you can buy a fractional part of Bitcoin, because I said, you know what, if he gets elected, you might as well have that opportunity because it will go up. And Donald Trump got elected, and sure enough, we were at 65,000, I think, when we came out on that note. And what are we at? I mean, we were up around 99,000 earlier this morning. So there are going to be opportunities. I want to encourage you to take advantage of them. Go over to investinmaga.com. It's our free guide from 76 Research. Rob and I put a lot of work into this, so there's a lot of good ideas for you there at investinmaga.com or 76research.com. He's going to be joining a little bit later in the show. We have a terrific piece that just came out today, actually, on what's going on overseas and what that means, not just, for the markets and for gold prices, but what it means really for our future. I'll tell you, Donald Trump couldn't come in soon enough. He really couldn't. Another quick shout out to the store, Live Free or Die. Mugs here. Drink your coffee every morning out of a Trish Regan show mug or Live Free or Die. We also have hats, all that kind of stuff for Christmas. All the merch, as we say, or the swag, right? All the swag. But I'm telling you this, guys, heads are going to roll at MSNBC. Joe and Mika may be able to make it just because they seem to understand which way the wind blows. But the Joy Reids of the world, the Jen Psaki's of the world that are doubling down on this transgender stuff right about now, you know what? They're going to go. They're going to go, and they're going to go fast. And that's a good thing for America.